Fabulous. Once again, Emma Pollock live in session with Prize Hunter. Emma, welcome back to the programme.
Hello.
It has been a long time, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But before you do exactly that, why don't you introduce your bandmates, please?
Okay. So I have Graham Smiley on keys and bass on my left, and I have Pete Harvey on cello. And I think this is the first time that Pete's been with me at a session with you, and it's in the trio. So there's no drums, and it's a new. Slightly kind of, well, I say new, we did it actually, we toured like this with field music back before COVID. But it still feels quite new because this is the first record I've had out in so long.
Yeah, well, it's bound to, isn't it? And of course, you get used to the record, and it's such an opulent, big-sounding record, and stripping it down like that, but it doesn't lose anything. I mean, the drama that the three of you conjure up is just really, really magical. I have to say that. It's just beautiful. And I did go to see, I don't know what route you're going to take, but I went to see Rufus Wainwright on Friday and Saturday night. He did 1-1 on Friday, 1-2 on Saturday. And it is strange kind of hearing those tunes without the drums and the normal kind of... He did have drums on it, but the normal kind of band backing does sound kind of, it kind of missed it in some ways. But for you here, the three of you, it just sounds so dramatic that you can't question it really, can you?
Well, it's really lovely to hear you say that. I think what I've learned being a solo artist after being with, the Delgados for that period of time is that I've actually found a huge amount of space and flexibility and power with having less instrumentation. And I think actually depending on the songs that you write, if they're open and they're full of dynamic, then you can actually play with that dynamic more sometimes with less musicians, as long as those musicians are able to play parts that are moving and dynamic in their own right. And I'm so lucky to be able to have Graham and Pete play on this record, because I think they've absolutely made it. Just the melody is I was really moved when we sat that week and during one of the only weeks during COVID when we were allowed to kind of be together, and we met at the studio and we played the songs through for a week, and they suddenly started to find themselves through the parts that were being written, in front of me. It was an amazing few days. Yeah,
when it comes together like that, it must be just... Well, I can imagine when you record something like that and then you go into the booth and listen to it back and it's... I have been there, not often, admittedly, but you go, wow, did that just happen?
Well, it's such a powerful thing and such a privilege, actually, to write a song and then have other people be able to understand it and bring something out of it that you didn't think was even there. I think that's one of the joys of playing with other people. It's one thing to kind of write a song, but it's very much another to have it, to have it presented in its technicolor, I suppose it feels to me. The songs have been kind of found and developed by the guys, and I'm so excited to be able to play with them like this, in such a way that allows those instruments to be really heard.
Yeah, because often the stripped down aspect of bands going out, particularly on the road, is normally some kind of a compromise. It might be a financial decision or because of the members or whatever, but it doesn't have to be the case. And I think I came up with a phrase years ago, which is less is more. I think
I've never heard that before.
No, well, I'm not at all surprised because I invented it not so very long ago. You mentioned the Delgados within that, and of course, you had the terrific reunion. So, how did that go from your angle?
How did it go from my angle? Oh my goodness, it was an absolutely massive thing, and I think I'm actually still processing it now, if I was being quite honest. It was one of those questions where we had been skirting around the topic for maybe a few years, and then one of us pops the question, how about we get back together? How about we actually play some songs again live? And I guess the only answer, the four of us did feel that we really wanted to do it. And then, of course, COVID turned up literally within 2 months of us making the decision, meeting in the pub. And it was put onto the back burner. But actually, I don't mind saying, in fact, that there was a huge amount of stress involved, and it was quite something to come back after 18 years of not having played those songs, and to play them in front of audiences that we felt a certain expectation, but we also felt a huge expectation of ourselves, and there were 10 of a band on that stage, and And of course, Graham and Pete with me here, you know, they were two of those band, and we were all, you know, very much aware of the, I guess, the stress that we felt behind it, bringing songs to life again that hadn't been played for that long, and we hadn't had them in our minds for that long. So it was a hugely enjoyable thing to do, but it was there was a certain amount of, okay, lock, stock and barrel, we're going to be throwing every single thing at this. We better be able to live up to it.
Right. It's quite a brave thing for one of the members to actually do, you know, for fear of being rejected. So whoever it was, you don't have to say, but whoever it was rang up everybody else and said, should we do this? If everybody turned around and went, you're joking, aren't you? Not doing that. So, I mean, yeah, but it had to be done, didn't it, really?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, you know, the idea had been kind of raised in the past and we had poo-pooed it.
Yeah.
I mean, this wasn't the first time we talked about it, but I think, you know, being in that band and also running Chemical Underground for all those years, and honestly, it was a really intense period of time, and we're watching other bands' careers take off, and we're, you know, really kind of incredible to be part of that scene when the music industry was still really quite buoyant. And then, of course, you know, we kind of reached a point where we just physically couldn't really do it anymore, mentally couldn't really do it anymore. So it was lovely to revisit it. Yeah. Yeah,
fabulous. And so, well, let's get back to your album then. So we've got Begging the Night to Take Hold, and we've talked about the sounds of it. But also, I know that you've been through quite a turbulent time in your life during the making of it and leading up to it. And I know you lost your father, you know, which obviously is a massive blow. And then also you had a diagnosis that you'd kind of, in some ways, orchestrated.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with autism last year, and I think there certainly it wasn't a surprise to those who knew me, and it ironically was more of a surprise perhaps to my immediate family, who knew that I lived in a particular kind of way, and that sometimes it was quite stressful for them and for me, and just degrees of, you know, extreme procrastination not allowing me to basically build a career when I'd wanted to, and not really feeling relaxed enough and in control enough of everyday life to be able to make progress sometimes, and also, you know, the amount of jobs that anyone in the music industry is presented with when they're trying to at once run a record company, and then essentially the studio, and then the band came along, we got back together, and to be quite honest, it kind of, that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
I mean, it was the stress involved with all of that there was a breaking point. And I had to go and kind of start asking questions about why this was the case, and it's really helpful now that there's more and more conversation about neurodiversity, and it's becoming something that isn't necessarily, at least I would hope that it isn't necessarily regarded as a negative or a problem. It's more just a description of the way that somebody has been built. And I think that's really important to understand that. It's fascinating. It allows us more of an insight into how our, you know, how our brains are built when we're born, and the different things that have impacts. And these things have been true forever. It's just that we now understand how to recognise them, and we're giving them a name.
Of course. I mean, I went to the cinema today and there was a trail for a film that I could have gone to see a screening of it last night, but it was too close to the airtime, called I Swear, featuring Maxine Peake and many other wonderful actors. And it's based around a young man with Tourette's.
Yeah, I've seen the trailer.
Oh, it looks amazing. I've got to see it, but within the trailer itself, he goes to this guy who's like a bit of a mentor, and he's saying, "Oh, I'm really sorry." He said, "No, you don't need to say sorry. You need to educate people." That's what he said. And also a really poignant moment a couple of years ago when I read that Pete Wiley, he was a brilliant guy, and Pete Wiley said that he'd just recently been diagnosed with ADHD, and he said, "Suddenly, my life makes sense."
Yeah, there is that. I'm reading a great book by Robin Ince at the moment, who has also been diagnosed with ADHD, and he talks about how, I mean, he's a fantastic comedian. He's just such an incredibly intelligent man, and when you watch him on stage, his brain is is on fire and it's in public, and he didn't understand why he would come off stage and then feel so utterly spent, or still didn't feel that he'd been a success. And it was just because the way that his brain was constantly rolling all the time.
Right.
And he needed to understand why this maybe was the case. And as soon as he found out, he's the way that his self-image changed, and he was so much happier.
It's like the scales falling from the
Absolutely,
eyes, isn't it? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful to hear. So everybody, your album is, like I say, it's just truly wonderful, and you are going out on the road. So the 16th of October, so not long then, the Cumberland Arms in Newcastle, the 17th, Tin Music and Arts in Coventry, the 18th, the Louisiana in Bristol, that's a matinee show, the 19th, the Lexington in London, the 20th will be Portland Arms in Cambridge, 21st, New Adelphi in Hull, 22nd, Camera in Chorlton, Manchester, the 24th, Perth Theatre, the 25th, Stirling Tolbooth, the 26th, Edinburgh Cabaret Voltaire, the 28th, Aberdeen Lemon Tree, and finishing off at the Oranmore Auditorium in Glasgow on the 29th of October. So great to see you again, and I've got to thank all three of you for coming in and playing for us. You've got 2 more tunes to do for us now then. So Emma, what are they going to be? They're
going to be Future Tree and I Used to Be a Silhouette.
Fabulous.
Both from the new album as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.